Bryce, what do you see when you look at this Kansas team?
Yeah, I think the first thing that sticks out to me is their length, their athleticism. They're very fast in transition. So, the biggest thing is just going to be a quick turnaround, just locking into the scouting reports and, just trying to take away as much as we can from the scouting reports and the film that we watch.
Peterson dropped 28 points yesterday. He's been up and down this season, but how do you prevent him from having a performance like that again?
Yeah, I feel like he's a great player. He's obviously projected top 1 or 2 in the draft. And I feel like we know that he's going to hit some tough shots. And, the biggest thing is just trying to take away as much as we can and trying to make him hit as much tough shots as he can. Just try to make it hard for him for a full 40 minutes.
You guys have started on an 8-0 run or better in your last 4 games. How important is it to come out on a fast start, especially in this type of tournament style play?
Yeah, it's very important. I feel like the biggest thing is you can't come out lackadaisical. Like I said yesterday, we're only guaranteed 40 minutes, so we have to play like that, play like it's our last. We can't come out slow because we're only guaranteed 40.
To play against a team like Kansas, a historic program, and have Coach Pitino against Coach Self, how much does that make the game more fun when you're playing in March?
It's going to be amazing. It's going to be a very energetic crowd. They're going to have their fan base. We're going to have our fan base. And it's the round of 32 to go to the Sweet 16. So it's going to be a lot of energy in the building. And we got to all play with a chip on our shoulder and, come out on top, hopefully.
What do you want to see from Zubie against his former team? You think there's any extra from him?
I think there is going to be extra from him. I've been through it playing against my former team, but for Zubie, I feel like he's definitely going to play with a chip on his shoulder. He's going to have fun while doing it, and we know what Zubie can do. So the biggest thing is just coming out with the win for sure.
Dillon, you've faced Kansas a bunch in your career. What do you see from them, and what kind of energy do they bring no matter what personnel they have?
They've always been big, physical. I think this Kansas team's a little bit different, just how fast they are, the pace they play at. But they've always been bigger and physical.
Peterson dropped 28 yesterday in his March Madness debut. How do you plan to stop him from having that type of performance?
It takes all 5 of us, just containing the ball, keeping everything on our chest, just playing all of them together, being in the gaps and stuff like that. But it starts with just getting back in transition. They're a faster team, like to play fast, so it's just going to take all 5 of us to make sure we're all locked in on the game plan.
This was the matchup everyone wanted, St. John's versus Kansas, Pitino versus Self. Does there get a little bit of extra energy knowing it's such a storied program and another Hall of Fame coach?
No, not for us. I think every game we already have that motivation, that push just to get to the next level, especially in this type of tournament. You lose, it's over for some of us. It's over for our college career, so we don't need no extra motivating push. We understand what's at stake, and we're going to leave it all out on the court.
For Zubie, for facing his former team, what do you think you'll see from him?
I think he's going to be himself. I know the storyline and everything, but we all know Zubie personally, and he's not going to go out there and try to do something extra to push the storyline or anything like that. He's going to go out there and be Zubie and just give it all he has like he's done throughout the season.
What's been going through your head when you knew Kansas comes for a ticket, you'd be facing them?
He's obviously really exciting. I played there my freshman year, but it was never really about me. It was more so about St. John's versus Kansas. I feel like my teammates are really excited for the challenge. And, playing Kansas obviously is a great program, but it's winning advance in this tournament. So you got to do whatever it takes to win.
But how are you approaching it going up against your former team? Is it just another game?
Just another game for me. Just another game. I'm going to still, just go out there and compete. It doesn't matter who we're going up against. My mentality never changes. So I'm just willing to go out there, have fun, compete. My family's going to be in the crowd as well. So, it's going to be a really exciting game.
What challenges do they present, Kansas?
Obviously, it starts with Darren Peterson and how tough a player and opponent he is, coming in as a freshman, being able to score at all 3 levels. And then they have a really talented front line. They have a lot of role players that's really good for them as well. They're a big lob team, but it takes a collective effort to be able to pull out a big-time victory like that.
You guys have started each of your last 4 games on an 8-0 run or better. How important is it to come out that hot again tomorrow?
It's really important to set the tone early, just coming in with a defensive mindset. Understanding the scouting report and their tendencies is a big key as well. I don't know how long we could keep this 10-0, 8-0 run going, but we're really excited, just to go out there and compete.
How would you describe the way you've changed both on and off the court since you got Kansas?
I feel like, I just grew up here as a man, coming in, as a sophomore, just really young-minded, the bright lights of MSG, New York. I was so confused about a lot of different things, but I was able to grow past all that. It starts with Coach Pitino and him making me, just come out of my shell a little bit and instilling in me leadership qualities. I was never really a talkative person, but now, I can make jokes, I can talk, the most out the team and do whatever it takes to make my new teammates feel comfortable.
You've played for 2 Hall of Fame coaches now. How do they kind of compare yourself and Pitino?
Both high-level competitors obviously have won it at the biggest stage, both of them, and I could say a lot of I couldn't see too many different changes from them. There's a lot of similarity there. They're both loud. They're high-level competitors. They love the game so much, and are willing to do whatever it takes to win games at a high level. So really excited, really blessed to be able to coach under both of them.
People are going to get a good game. America will get a good game.
I mean, 2 great programs. St. John's is on the come up now, but Kansas has always been there. But it starts with both of them. Coach Pitino and Coach Self, and the history of what they brought to the game as well. So it's going to be a really great game, really exciting. 2 great programs, 2 great teams, and we're really excited for the challenge.
In reading an article, your father said that being told that you weren't able to play at that time really lit a fire under you. Can you talk about that fire and how it burned you to kind of prove people wrong?
I always feel like I've always had a chip on my shoulder. I've always had something to prove. In my past years, even now, still. It's not more so what he said, but who I am. I've always wanted to compete, and I really didn't get too many of an opportunity there. And that's how life goes. You move on. You just find yourself in a better situation. I was able to land here in St. John's, and Coach Pitino was able to give me an opportunity that I've been looking for, and I was able to make something special out of that. So I was really excited and really blessed to have that.
Zubie, with the fact that it is your former team, it is going to require more of the front court because of the size that they have, and this is the round that obviously the run ended last year. How are you treating it like just one other game?
That's how you really got to play it. You got to do whatever it takes to win in advance. In this tournament, and it's obviously easier said than done. Kansas is obviously a great program, so it's going to take everybody. It's going to take a collective mindset to be able to come out with a victory, and it starts with the scouting report, understanding each of the players' tendencies, and just coming out there with a defensive mindset first, and then the offense is going to flow. But just playing together basketball and just figuring out ways to do little things to come out of victory.
There were more eyes on the Big East tournament this year than ever, but now it's on a national stage, and a lot of people kind of impressed by the play of Zubie Ejiofor. Just what's it like coming out? Opening round, double-double, with 4 blocks on a national stage.
I feel like I could have been better, but I just wanted to come out there and set the tone. I feel like I always play with a chip on my shoulder. That's who I've been. That's the kind of player I've been my whole life. But it's not really about me. It's more so about my teammates. There's a lot of my teammates that stepped up in big ways throughout the entire game, and we were able to come out with a win against a really tough opponent. It was never easy, but we set the tone early, and I think that we carried away with that. And Johnny's Nation came out and showed out, and they were able to be loud and supportive as well. So it was really great to see.